I got rich the day that I realized my desire for something better was finally stronger than my fear of change. I'm Randy Lovelace. I want to share something personal with you today. For years, I was making good money as a healthcare executive. 6 figures, corner office, all the traditional markers of success. But I wasn't rich, not really. I was instead trading my life for a paycheck. I was missing my family's important moments and really feeling empty despite the impressive job title. Today, I'm going to tell you about the one realization that changed everything for me and how understanding this simple truth can make you rich too, however you define wealth. So let me ask you something. When you think about being rich, what comes to mind? Most people immediately think about money, and yeah, money's part of it. But real, true wealth, true richness, it's so much more than your bank account balance. Let me tell you what rich looks like to me now. Rich is being able to take my daughter to the beach on a Tuesday afternoon because I want to. Not because I scheduled vacation time 6 months ago and hoped it got approved. Rich is waking up excited about the work that I get to do every day instead of dreading another 12-hour shift where I feel like just a number in a broken system. Rich to me is having the mental space to actually be present with my family instead of just being physically there but mentally exhausted from workplace drama and politics. Rich is knowing that my income isn't dependent on my physical presence somewhere for a shift that somebody else told me I needed to work. And that doesn't matter whether I'm sick or tired or dealing with a family emergency. They expect me to be there because they want me there. Rich is getting to continue doing work that actually makes a difference as a nurse, helping attorneys to get justice for their clients instead of just checking boxes at work to meet somebody else's productivity metrics. Rich is the peace of mind that comes from controlling your own schedule, your own income, and your own future. That's what real wealth looks like. And here's what I've learned. You can't get there by doing the same things you've always done. If you want a different outcome, you're going to have to do things differently. You got to get on a different path. I'll never forget that exact moment when everything shifted for me. I was sitting in my executive office looking at another reorganization plan that would affect hundreds of people's lives and thinking about the political hoops I was going to have to jump through to even make this thing happen. And I realized something profound. My desire for something better had finally become stronger than my overwhelming fear of change. For years, I'd been afraid to leave the security of a steady paycheck, afraid to start over, afraid of what other people would think, afraid of failing. On that day, though, I realized that my fear of staying the same had finally grown bigger than my fear of change. I was afraid of waking up in 10 years having lived the exact same year 10 times in a row. I was afraid of my kids growing up while I was stuck in meetings that really didn't matter. I was afraid of reaching retirement age and realizing that I had spent the best years of my life making other people rich while my own dreams just sat gathering dust. That's when I understood the secret. Change it doesn't happen when you eliminate fear. Real change happens when your desire becomes stronger than your fear. Let me tell you something. Every single successful entrepreneur that I know has had this exact same moment. The moment when staying stuck becomes more terrifying than taking the leap. Once I made the decision to change, I still had to figure out what that change would look like. I didn't want to just trade one job for another job, one rat race for another. I wanted to create real wealth, the kind that I just described, more than money. And that's when I discovered legal nurse consulting, and I realized that this field is uniquely positioned to deliver every aspect of true wealth. Financial freedom, legal nurse consultants typically make $150 an hour, and successful business owners can scale to multiple 6 figures or even 7 figures. But more importantly than that, your income isn't capped by someone else's budget or someone else's productivity expectations. Time freedom, well, as a legal nurse, you work when you want. You work where you want, for who you want. Amanda, she's one of our Catalyst clients. You probably heard me talk about her before. She's completed over 80 cases in 8 months. That was in her first 8 months of marketing, coming through Catalyst, 80 cases, and she's maintaining complete control of her schedule. What about location freedom? As a legal nurse, you can literally work from anywhere. Sarah, she's another one of our Catalyst clients. She was literally swimming with turtles in the Galapagos while managing her business remotely. Try doing that with a hospital job. How about purpose and challenge? Well, instead of fighting broken healthcare systems all day, you're helping attorneys get justice for people who have literally been wronged. You're using your medical expertise to make real differences in people's lives. And no two cases are the same, so you get to grow and learn constantly. Relationship richness. Well, as a legal nurse, you're going to spend time with the people you care about most, the people you want to be around. Rachel, she went from missing her daughter's bedtime and told me the story of how every night she was at work, her daughter would already be home by the time she got home, and she was missing that piece of her daughter's bedtime, that's something special to her every night. Now, she puts her daughter to bed every night. She takes her daughter to the zoo on beautiful days because she is in control of her schedule. How about peace of mind? Well, no more begging for time off. No more mandatory holidays. No more wondering if your job is going to be there after the next reorg or RIF, reduction in force. But here's what I've learned. Wanting these things, it's not enough. You've got to want them more than you fear the process of getting them. Let me be honest with you about fear, because I think too many people try to just pretend it doesn't exist. Starting a legal nurse consulting business is scary. Leaving the security of a steady paycheck, it's scary. Learning new skills as an adult is scary. Marketing yourself to attorneys, guess what? Scary. But you know what's scarier? Staying exactly where you are for the next 20 or 30 years. There's so many stories you can hear on my YouTube channel from nurses who have successfully made that transition and are now living their dreams. And here's what all these stories have in common. These nurses didn't eliminate their fears. They just made sure that their desires were stronger than them. Now here's another place that a lot of people get stuck. They reach that moment where their desire becomes stronger than their fear, but then they don't know what to do next. They want to change, but they don't have a proven path to follow. And that's exactly why I created Catalyst Coaching and Mentoring. I realized that nurses were ready to take the leap, but they needed a bridge, a way to transition from fear to success without having to figure everything out through years of expensive trial and error. In Catalyst, we don't just teach you legal nurse consulting skills, we help you overcome every fear that's been holding you back. Fear of not being qualified enough, well, we've got you. We start you with LNC Essentials, where you learn everything from medical terminology and the legal context to what a day in the life of a legal nurse looks like. How about the fear of not knowing how to create professional work products? Our case story crafting section has you complete 3 full practice cases with individualized and personalized video feedback on each one. And by the time you're done with this section, your work product alone is going to put you in the top tier of LNCs across the nation. How about the fear of not knowing how to run a business? You don't have to worry. Our 3rd section covers everything from marketing scripts to contract templates to scaling strategies. You get the complete business framework, not just the technical skills. And everything I teach you, I give you. Things like templates, scripts, guides, spreadsheets, contracts, it's all handed to you. So you don't have to stress about creating excellent tools. They're given to you. How about the fear of being alone in this journey of entrepreneurship? Well, when you join Catalyst, You become part of a community of hundreds of like-minded nurses who are on the same path. You can ask questions 24/7 and get support not only from mentors like me and our coaches, but from other nurses who understand exactly what you're going through. Here's a big one: the fear of failure. Listen, our clients typically get their first cases within 1 to 4 weeks of marketing the way we teach. Not years of hoping and building. That's rapid validation that this thing works. But here's the most important thing we provide. We help you see that your desire for something better is completely achievable. It's not a fantasy. It's not too good to be true. It's just a different choice than the one you've been making. Here's what happens when you finally make that choice. When your desire becomes stronger than your fear and you follow a proven system to act on it, the wealth starts multiplying in ways you never expected. I'll give you a few examples from some of our clients. Andrea went from being laid off of her job to being CEO of my company, Loveless Legal Nurse Consulting, and she did that in under a year. But it's not just about the money she's making. She told me she wakes up happy now, wondering, what do I get to do today, instead of dreading another day at a job that didn't value her. Alex is another. She increased her revenue by nearly 14 times in just a year. But more importantly than that, she's now a role model for her children. She's showing them what's possible when you have the courage to go after your dreams. Jane, she was a 25-year nurse, and she said she hit the jackpot when she found Catalyst. But she said not just because of the business success, but because she finally found a program that invested in her as a person, not just as a source of revenue. Rachel, another Catalyst client, she said 2024, the year that she joined Catalyst, was the most personal growth that she'd ever experienced in her life. That's awesome, guys. I love that because it's not just business, right? It's not just financial. It was the most personal growth she'd ever experienced. She's not just making money. She's becoming a different person. She's more confident, more purposeful, more in control of her destiny. That's what real wealth looks like, guys. It's not just about money. Though money's important, it's about becoming the person you were meant to be and living the life you were meant to live. So here's the question I want to leave you with. What's stronger right now, your desire for something better or your fear of change? If you're watching this video, something inside you is already stirring. Something's telling you that there's more available to you than what you're currently experiencing. Maybe you're tired of asking permission to take time off. Maybe you're exhausted from hospital politics and short staffing. Maybe you're frustrated with making another day of work where other people are getting wealthy from your sweat while your own dreams stay on hold. Maybe you're like me, afraid that you'll wake up 10 years from now having lived the same year 10 times in a row. If any of that resonates with you, then your desire is already trying to become stronger than your fear. The question is, what are you going to do about it? You can keep hoping things will magically get better in your current situation. That's not going to work. You can keep talking about someday when you'll make a change. That's not going to work. You can keep letting fear make decisions for you. Or you can decide that today is the day your desire becomes stronger than your fear. Look, I can't make this decision for you. Nobody can. But I can tell you this. If you're ready to get rich in all the ways that truly matter, legal nurse consulting through our Catalyst program is the most proven, reliable pathway available. We've helped hundreds of nurses just like you transform not just their income, but their entire lives. We've created a system that addresses every fear, every obstacle, every excuse that's been holding you back. But more than that, we've created a community of people who understand that real wealth isn't just about money. It's about freedom, purpose, flexibility, the ability to design a life you actually want to live. So if you're ready to make your desire stronger than your fear, I want you to check out our free training, where I break down the complete framework for building a successful legal nurse consulting business. You already have everything you need to get rich, however you define it. You have the medical knowledge, you have the life experience, and somewhere inside you, you have the desire for something better. The only question is this: is that desire finally stronger than your fear? The link to our free training is in the description below. Your wealthy life, and in every sense of the word, it's waiting for you. You just have to grab it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.